Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley, and I'm about to show you some delicious orange chicken. I promise you that after you make this, you'll never order takeout again. We're going to start by making our marinade, and we're going to have just a small pan on the burner here. It's not on yet, though. We have cut up some boneless chicken thighs. Could you use breast meat? Most definitely, but I'm a big dark meat sort of girl. I think it's a better flavor. It brings better fat. So I like to use boneless thighs for this particular recipe. And we've got about 3/4 of a pound here. And we're going to start out with putting the marinade in the small saucepan. And what we have is about 3 tablespoons of chicken broth. We're going to add 3 tablespoons of orange juice. We're going to use a gluten-free soy, or tamari as it's called. 3 tablespoons of that. And we want 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. And we are going to add 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. And about, I think the recipe says about 1½ tablespoons of garlic. I happen to have some that I've already chopped and I keep in the refrigerator, so we're just going to kind of roughly measure that. And now we want some fresh ginger. This is a ginger root. It has a peel on it, and interestingly enough, for as long as I've been a chef, I just learned recently that you can actually grate ginger and not have to worry about peeling it. So I think that's a great thing. So get that, I just said grate. So we're going to grate the ginger over top of our marinade. And we want a pinch of cayenne pepper. If you like it spicy, then add a little bit more than a pinch. That's certainly up to you. We're going to whisk this up. Now we also want to add some orange zest. So in addition to grating the ginger, I'm going to grate an orange, part of the orange anyway, because we want to use the strips. So we're going to grate part of it. So we could juice this orange if we wanted to, instead of buying the juice in the already in the containers, but I just find this to be a little bit easier. We're going to grate the orange in there. And now we're actually going to peel some orange strips, but we're not going to put those in right away. You'll see those come into play in a few moments. So we're using a serrated peeler here. You don't want to go too far down into the white part of the fruit. It's called pith, P-I-T-H, and it is bitter. So you really just want to go onto the top part of the orange. We've got orange strips waiting, and we've got some hot pepper. So now we're going to whisk this up. Now we're going to use some of it. We're not going to use a lot of it, but we're going to use some of it to marinate the chicken. We're going to use our handy dandy favorite tool in the kitchen. That's a Ziploc bag. So I'm not going to pour a lot of it because I want it to come to a boil, some of it. Put that in there. We're going to add the cut up chicken. And then this is going to rest in the refrigerator for about 30 to 40 minutes. You don't want it to go any more than an hour. And if you want to know why, that is because it is an acid, and acid will break down chicken, and it can become mealy. You don't want that. So you don't want it to be marinated more than an hour. We're going to shake this up, and we're going to let this rest for about 30 to 40 minutes or so. We have got the rest of our marinade in our pot on our stove, and what we'd like to do is bring that to a boil, and then we're going to thicken it up with a little bit of cornstarch and water mixture, or a slurry as it's called. So while the marinade is coming to a boil, I'll go ahead and mix in the cornstarch. We've got 2 tablespoons of water, and we want a tablespoon of cornstarch. I usually use a fork for these sort of things. We want this to become somewhat thick because we want it to be a coating on the chicken after it's fried in the oil. It is coming to a boil already, which is great. We're going to go ahead and add the cornstarch and water slurry to it. Now, if this thickens too fast or gets too thick and you don't have enough to really spread around, you can go ahead and add a little bit more chicken stock to it. It's totally fine. I can tell that this has already gotten really thick, so I'm going to actually turn the heat off. And this is where we're going to add the reserved orange peel that we did strips of earlier, and hot peppers. So we're going to get those in there and let that sit. And all that's going to do is simply enhance the orange flavor. We don't need that marinade right now, or sauce. We're going to leave that there. Now we're going to put oil on our burner, and we're going to turn that up on high. And that will take just a minute to get to the temperature we want it. Now what we're going to do is we have a bag of cornstarch, and we're going to add just a sprinkling of cayenne pepper. Again, if you don't like spice, then don't add any at all. Or if you think you added too much to the marinade, you might not want to add any here. I personally love spice, so I don't mind it. We want about a half a teaspoon or so of baking soda. Kind of mix that up a little bit. I can hear our oil is almost ready over here. We have our chicken that we marinated in a bag. First thing we're going to do is pull it out. I do like to use a glove when it comes to raw chicken. So we're going to pull the chicken out. It's going into a bowl with egg whites, just the whites, not the yolks. We beat them up just a little bit and made them a little frothy. All right. Now you really don't want to dump the chicken into the cornstarch. It'll get gummy and everything, and in fact it still might do that. So what we're going to do is just pick it up with our hands, sprinkle off the excess. The recipe usually calls for about 1.5 pounds of chicken. I have a son who, this is his birthday meal every year, and we always have to double the recipe for his birthday dinners. So now we want to seal our Ziploc bag with our cornstarch and red pepper and baking soda. And you want to shake it up, get them nice and coated. Our oil should be ready to accept our chicken to fry. We're going to fry them until they're a nice golden brown. As my culinary professor would say, GBD, golden brown and delicious. Yep, it's starting to bubble, which is great. Now you don't want to overcrowd the pan either. You don't want them steaming, you want them to be fried. So that's why you only add a little at a time. So we could probably do this in about thirds. So this is going to take just a couple of minutes. All right, so we've removed the rest of our chicken here. It's nice and golden brown. And we're going to pour our sauce over it in just a minute. This has the hot peppers, the ginger, the garlic, the orange juice, the orange zest, the brown sugar. We let that get thickened with a little bit of cornstarch and water slurry. And now we're going to mix it up with our nice golden brown chicken. This is one of my very favorite recipes, not to mention my son's. And we absolutely love doing this. And there you have it. Orange chicken, you'll never buy takeout again. I'm Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and thank you for joining us on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.